You remember how the Snickers commercial used to say, "You're not you when you're hungry"? Well, I'd like to make a small modification which may have age accelerating implications. My version goes a little like this: you're not you when you're stressed. Definitely on the outside, but now we can confirm on the inside at the biochemical and genetic level too. You're definitely going to want to go full namaste after this one. Yo, yo, yo! What is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftingbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and longevity and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic way. Today, we are venturing back within, into the confines of our cellular and metabolic self, to see how one of the most common parts of many intelligent walking apes' lives is actually shortening them. We are making the connection between chronic stress and biological age. And you might be saying, biological age? Isn't age age? Where I would answer, oh, no, 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 my friend. And you've come to the right place. You see, that silly number, which increases by 1 each and every year celebrating our conception, otherwise known as chronological age, is a figment of society, a fugazi, an arbitrary metric we humans created to count years. And although it has some societal utility, i.e. determining when we can drive, drink, and vote, as well as a loose association with our health, it does not come close to reflecting our true cellular and metabolic state. This is dictated by biological efficiency, aka how well all the complex components of our cellular self, such as mitochondria function, hormone signaling, immune readiness, microbiome vibrance, and a million other internal processes operate together. Processes that our lifestyles play a major role in modulating, and something that we've never really had a way to measure. Until recently, that is. And the sum of this cellular and metabolic equation is coined our biological age, or true age on the inside. This age is the output of several key genetic and biological markers being run through a large machine learning algorithm, trained on an ever-growing human dataset. And it's the reason we can assess the markers of a super healthy 40-year-old and an average 25-year-old and conclude that the 40-year-old is actually younger at the cellular and metabolic level. Pretty cool, right? Makes you just want to ask the next person you see what their biological age is. But don't do that. You might get canceled. Now, I want to call out that this technology is still in its infancy, and there has been no methodology or algorithm which has been universally standardized on, so grains of salt must be taken. However, this opens the doors to begin to objectively measure if our health interventions are actually making a difference, and what variables may be aging us the fastest. One of which being the topic of this powwow today: stress. Because new research, which just hit the longevity streets, is sending the vibe loud and clear that stress management may be a good idea. So we're going to dive in and see what it has to say, then talk about the different tactical ways we could potentially reverse biological age by simply managing this silent killer. Yeah, you heard me right. I said reversed. Something which was displayed in this research which we covered here. Are you feeling the power yet? But before anyone goes full Super Saiyan, let's take a look at this new data, where a research team with representatives from several universities across the United States sought to see how stress affected the biological aging of humans and other animals across different environmental circumstances. For this analysis, they looked into how acute stressful situations impacted the epigenetic signatures or expression of genes at key locations, swaying them in either a pro-aging or anti-aging direction. This use of an epigenetic aging clock is one of the most common and accepted ways to measure biological age, but it's not the only one. So, to test this hypothesis out, researchers conducted several experiments. First, they surgically attached pairs of mice who were 3 and 20 months years of age in a procedure known as heterochronic parabosis to see how the blood of younger and older mice impacted their biological clock. Starting off with a bang, huh? Here they found that the short-term stress at the epigenetic, transcriptome, and metabolome levels accelerated the biological age of young mice. However, it was restored following surgical detachment. Interesting. What else we got? Next, researchers looked into how biological age changed during common life scenarios such as surgery, pregnancy, and infections like COVID in humans and mice. What do you think they found? Again, they observed that these stressors modified the epigenetic aging markers towards accelerated aging in all 3 scenarios during and after the event. However, these too were seen to return to baseline after the event had passed. Having researchers conclude, our data revealed the dynamic nature of biological age, showing stress can trigger a rapid increase in biological aging and reverse it when the stress is removed, placing a big emphasis on that last part, as this was the first study to not just look at stress's effects on accelerating biological age, but de-stressing's ability to reverse it, reinforcing that you, my friend, have the power to implement meaningful change, which not only increases your odds, likelihood, and probability of feeling effing awesome each and every damn day, but also slow down and even reverse your biological age. Now, there are a few limitations in this data that warrant being called out. First, all biological clocks are tuned differently, and many epigenetic aging clocks do not take into account many biological markers which may be useful. Next, this was solely a study on acute stressors, not chronic ones. And although we face our fair share of acute stressors throughout life, this data only leaves us pondering what the low-dose chronic stress we find so ingrained in our modern-day news feeds, morning commutes, social scrolling, and work environment does to our biological age. Although it certainly implies it sends it ticking in the wrong direction. This is the low-dose, psychologically derived stress, which activates the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system response, which slowly chips away at our vitality. The stress that over 70% of US adults say either impact their mental or physical health. And although this stress has not been identified as causal for disease onset, it's been scientifically shown that it accelerates many, if not all, existing or forming disease states, or many of the diseases of aging. Suspicious connection. That right there is the main reason why we need to pay attention to it, especially if we have longevity in mind. So with that, let's talk about some ways to prevent and recover from this age-accelerating foe. And to do that, we channel the playbook of old sayings. Best playbook. Pulling out the old sports adage, the best defense is a good offense, because it could not be any truer when it comes to mitigating our stress. We live in a world where society has standardized on norms which bring out the worst of our psychological self, constantly overthinking, analyzing, and comparing. That's why I like to think of stress management as a 3-step process. Identify, prevent, and recover. Identifying is all about becoming a better observer of thyself, specifically honing in on your unique triggers, or the stimuli which consistently constrict your blood vessels, increase your heart rate, make you sweat, desire that ultra-processed snack, and engage in an all-out psychological war with yourself. Sound familiar? This could be scrolling emotionally triggering news feeds, the passive-aggressive work emails, family craziness, the comparative nature of every social media feed, or simply negative self-talk. The list goes on in this modern world. The key to take away is that a trigger is a common stimuli which elicits a low dose or full-fledged fight or flight response. And it's hard to measure progress without understanding what sets you off. So think about it. Observe yourself and take notes on these common stimuli. I find that a short morning meditation is a great way to nurture the skills of becoming a better observer of your thoughts. Simply sitting there for a few minutes and observing what pops into your head, letting them enter and leave, and delineating that you are not, in fact, those thoughts. This can help you better identify your triggers and catch yourself before getting set off out there in the wild. Next, we move to prevent. I like to think about this as putting yourself in a harder biochemical and physiological position to get stressed out in the first place. And much of prevention comes through honing in on the foundational components of health and longevity. High quality circadian aligned sleep, real whole nourishing foods, the daily moving of the badonkadonk, and getting out and about in the elements and environment we've evolved in for hundreds of thousands of years. Nature. These habits have been shown to balance natural stress hormone cycles, upregulate the parasympathetic rest or digest nervous system, stimulate the dilation of blood vessels, relax the cardiovascular system, increase the secretion of mood-boosting, pain-relieving, stress-reducing bioactive compounds such as opioids, endocannabinoids, and endorphins, improve microdiversity, boost brain function, and thus reduce overall inflammation levels, all while optimizing detoxification pathways in the process. Talk about a hole-in-one, right, Happy?
Somebody's closer!
Which also means less of this.
You're gonna die, clown!
If you want more on stress prevention, we take a deep dive into all of these strategies in this video here. Finally, we have the reverse and recover phase. This is when you find yourself in the midst of a stressful event and want to consciously detach and return to baseline. And I find the best way to do this is by channeling one of the best biochemical altering tools that we have, our breath, specifically deep belly nasal breaths. Because when we breathe through our nose and get air down to the bottom of our lungs, we activate a number of parasympathetic rest and digest signals which instantly begin to relax us. First, nasal breathing increases the secretion of nitric oxide, a compound which dilates blood vessels, the exact opposite from what happens when you're having a moment, and deep belly breaths activate the diaphragm, or the umbrella-like muscle which sits under the lungs at the bottom of the rib cage. The muscle which regulates inhales and exhales. The muscle that we don't use very well, as the majority of us intelligent walking apes spend much of our time as chronic chest breathers. But here's why you want to flip that script. If you already didn't pick up on it, the diaphragm is a muscle, meaning it has an instant line of communication to the brain via the nervous system. And when you intentionally modulate your breathing during a stressful event, you send the signal from the periphery to the brain that things are actually okay. There is no imminent attack, so everyone can just chill out, especially that 5-pound mushy psychopath up there. This may be the fastest way to cool yourself down in the moment, and is assisted nicely by going outside, getting some fresh air, and touching some grass, as nature has been consistently shown through an ever-growing body of research to be one of the best stress reducers there is. And if you're wondering how to deploy this strategy, let me introduce you to the simplest way to do it. Box breathing, or counting through your inhales, holds, and exhales like you're traveling the perimeter of a box. For example, 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. In through your nose, out through your mouth, big, deep belly breaths, repeating until you feel yourself regaining control, with the timing being adjusted as needed. Truth be told, the hardest part of all this is probably building the wherewithal to identify that you've been triggered in the first place, so you know to deploy this de-stressing biohack. Thus, why becoming a better observer of your thoughts, step 1, is such a helpful tool. So practicing in advance is a good idea. Listen, you know We love the lifestyle adjustments, which provide the double health and longevity whammy effect. And building a solid stress management strategy is one of those investments. It not only increases your odds, likelihood, and probability of longevity, likely by modulating biological age from within, but also makes the here and now so much more healthy and thus enjoyable, allowing you to get the most out of your pretty cool meat suit in the short term and the long. So make today the day you stop letting chronic stress get in your way, and namaste away. Pretty good rhyme, right? I'll see you guys later.